You can't be one person, and this is why it goes back to, again, dimensions of space and time. You can't be one person in this dimension and then be somebody else in this dimension. You can't be two people. You who you are going to be one and the same individual, whether you're alone or whether you're in, a group of people, or whether you're in front of thousands of individuals. So imagine what that is. Imagine that you cannot hide yourself anymore.
Experiences as we go through life. But one has to wonder if we all experience a consciousness evolution journey. And so that's what we're here to talk with Masati about today. Mas, do we all in life experience some form of consciousness evolution journey? Or are there people who just never experience any kind of journey at all?
Well, that's a really good question. It's more in depth, than what we think. And again, we have to really define what consciousness is, and all that stuff that's out there, because there's so many different definitions. But without getting into that, and we can get into that if we need to, but overall, consciousness happens at a much, much higher level. It's not society dictates that, hey, something's happening. It's not, the small group of families, say, that control the world, that dictate, hey, we got to change this. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's an evolutionary process of, say, universal time or space-time. Space-time is always, say, updating itself. It's always going to the next level. What humans are facing now in today's world is that, within levels, there's levels. Okay, and now we're facing a big level, a big change. So, for example, what that would be is like, you go through high school, right? So a big change for you is like you go to college. Okay, that's a huge change, right? You can go from grade 1 to 2 and 3 to 4 and so on like that, and just kind of glide through, right? And that's what society has gone through. Again, elementary school and first grade, second grade, third grade, but now we've, say, graduated to a different level. And that's the consciousness evolution that, again, dictates how realities, how societies work, how the universe, how the sun works, how the planetary systems around the sun work, how nature works. And as you can see, nature's changing. And then humans aren't separated from all that stuff. Humans are part of that, say, journey that, say, the universes are going through. Again, space-time is updating itself, and that's what we're going through. So we're evolving. Space-time is evolving into a more efficient system. Hence, to us, it'd be our consciousness evolution. We're awakening to some of those things that aren't right, or some of those things that keep us off center, so to speak. And that's what we think consciousness evolution is about, right? Getting things right, being more politically correct, or being nicer, or whatever it is. That's our definition of it. But in reality, the universe is changing. It's forcing humans to change. And again, it's not just the next grade over. It's not first to second grade. This is from, say, like, say, 12th grade. You're going on to college. So it's a big jump, and that's what many of us are really experiencing. And that's why the theme, maybe consciousness evolution, is on people's minds. Again, it's not a buzzword that somebody thought up of. It's because people are going through this phase of the universe, and the universe is changing. What's changing is how space-time is defining itself. You're part of space-time. You have to get forced to change. So at that level, everybody's changing. Whether you change with space-time or not, or whether you choose to, say, set your own standards, it doesn't really matter. Space-time changes anyway. The train is leaving. So again, whether you're on that train or not, if you're not on the train, obviously, there's consequences to it. And if you are on the train, there's consequences to that. Again, your choices, again, you're free to choose whatever you want, but again, there's always consequences to the choices that you make. Are you going to be on the train, or are you going to be off?
And to continue with that analogy about the train leaving the station,
yep,
and the fact that we are up leveling, there's a big jump in consciousness that is underway.
Yes.
a lot of people may be looking around their own lives and in the
Hmm.
world and just looking at world events. And maybe
Right.
that is why a lot of people are kind of recognizing something big's going on, because
It is.
never before have we had such a confluence of so many world events and strange things going on, or
Absolutely.
epiphanies or awakenings in various ways, societally or otherwise.
Right.
And so that might be why a lot of people. So really what you're saying then, Moss, is that the consciousness evolution journey isn't really so much about our own singular individual lives as much as it is about a global kind of
Yes.
awakening happening, right? So we think it's about us, but it's really, is it really? It's not about us at all,
It's
is it?
not. It's not about us, although it's a great opportunity for the single individual to awaken and take on the power that is available to us so we can come into, say, a higher level of society. So you can make it about you, and again, and it should be about you. But will most people take the challenge? You don't know. We'll find out sooner than later. By the way.
What are some things that you could point out that are evidence that we are doing this big jump? What
Well,
is going on? Because I know that you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on frequency wise and energetically and kind of on higher levels.
right.
Can you tell us what it is that we're seeing in our lives that would be evidence, so to speak, that that jump is occurring and that we need to be taking note of it?
Of course, and again, it's something outside of us. It's something outside of us that's changing. Okay, it's not that somebody started something and it's changing, and I think we've talked about in other episodes, where even like a new technology, it's because we've come into a new consciousness that allows that technology to say flourish. So even that is a consciousness change or consciousness say gap that we've come into. The situation that happened with COVID. Again, it's a magnifier effect. Those things, whether it's a disease or virus or whatever that comes through, or a war or any other situation, it was there for us to awaken and see what's really going on with us. And that's what it was. COVID really awakened a lot of individuals. Unfortunately, a lot of individuals perished, but it could have been just the normal flu. It could have been anything. But the key is that as the evolutionary process happens, if you're not awakened to a certain point, again, you tend to disconnect from this reality and recycle yourself. So that's one evidence. Okay, the other evidence is that, the standards, like say for example, the Ukraine war, right? That's happening. That was an old, say, knee-jerk reaction from a bigger country, a bully, that would go, hey, you know what? We're in trouble. We're doing something. And then we're going to start a war to, make it right. And by the way, wars have started for those reasons. Something's going wrong in the economy or whatever. It's just like, hell, we'll start a war. Okay? It's not about, again, saving the world or anything like that. It's usually some other ulterior motive. Again, another side point that we don't want to get into here. But in this case, that war didn't really stick. Society woke up and go, you know what? We just don't do that anymore. We just don't have wars like that anymore. And it didn't really stick, although it is gruesome, unfortunately. But if you saw the Afghan, you know how the Afghanistan war, right? What happened there, what happened in the Ukraine, what happened, in Israel before, so on and so on and so on. Those kind of atrocities, people are waking up to. People are waking up to it and go, we just don't do that anymore. So it really pushed society to awaken and go, oh my God, this is the level that we've gone to. And it's gone way too far. And now what we're doing is awakening and we're recentering, whether we like it or not. We have to recenter because nature, or again, physics of space-time, dictate that you are synchronous with it, with time and
So,
space.
so we know that the consciousness evolution journey is not
Mm-hmm.
really about us singularly. It is about, all of us collectively
Yes,
rising to a huge jump in consciousness that's underway.
absolutely.
And we know that we have evidence of that happening because of world events that we've all partaken in.
There's a lot of truth that is happening. A lot of truth is awakening because as consciousness, say, redefines itself into, say, a more efficient system, what happens is that we can't hold the darkness, or we can't hold the lies, whether it's at a society level, whether it's at, say, a religious level or a group level, or whether it's at a family level, or whether it's at a personal level. It doesn't really matter. It's an all-around, say, awakening for each and every one of us. It's your choice to let go or not. Again, there's consequences if you don't let go. But again, it will affect you whether you like it or not. You cannot be a hermit when this thing or this earthquake, say, happens, and it's happening. It's happening actually as we speak. A lot of changes in, say, the financial systems. Old system doesn't work because truth is coming out. You can't be controlled by, say, finances anymore. Real value is showing up. People are looking at, say, things that are real valuable, not just a price tag. You'll see, you'll see what people are, say, drawn towards. More, say, success or more connection to, say, self-actualized, right? And this is the mistake that people are making, and this is why I want to bring it up. People go, well, I tried the success method, I want to be self-actualized. In this new paradigm, you don't have to change. You don't have to go between one or the other. You can be self-actualized and successful at the same time. So these are the fantastic changes that are happening. It looks scary to a lot of people because you have to let go of your old self completely. And this is the process.
But the problem is, Moss, people have trouble letting go of the only thing they've ever known.
Well, absolutely. You're talking about concepts of how space-time work. How you render your body here. And if you're new listening to this, it's like, what is he talking about? Well, you render, there's obviously an intelligence that creates you here. You're not just here randomly. That intelligence, or the physics of that intelligence, is changing. Okay? For example, if that was, say, an element called gravity that dictates everything that you do, that is changing. It's going to be on a whole different level. What does that mean to you? Okay? So your whole life is going to be changing. And gravity obviously is part of it, but yes.
So Moss, the consciousness evolution journey, and I want to kind of focus in on the word journey.
Yes.
If we are all on that journey, because by virtue of us being on this planet, we're all on a journey of our own. And this is happening regardless. What are some behaviors that we as individuals can adopt that would help us to align to this change that's underway? So for example, it might be that, should we be more active in our communities? Should we be volunteering more? What are some behaviors that should we be exhibiting more kindness to others, or more love toward our neighbor? Or what are some behaviors that we could or should be adopting that would allow us to participate in this consciousness evolution journey that's underway?
Actually, unfortunately, none of those things will help, by the way. Because that's the old pattern of going, I'm awakened, what do they call it? I'm woke, I'm more conscious, I'm going to be nicer, I'm going to be more loving. Although people will go towards that direction. It's not about that. It's about literally helping you understand how you render yourself in space and time. The key is, again, we have to understand what is normal and what's not. And I'm just talking about surface level stuff, okay? But all those things are going to be popping up. You can't be one person, and this is why it goes back to, again, dimensions of space and time. You can't be one person in this dimension and then be somebody else in this dimension. You can't be two people. You who you are going to be one and the same individual, whether you're alone or whether you're in, a group of people, or whether you're in front of thousands of individuals. So imagine what that is. Imagine that you cannot hide yourself anymore.
So if it's not about us changing our behaviors per se, that isn't really what this is about. It's about going inward and reaching your limitless self and kind of really tapping into and self-actualizing. What are
Yes.
the steps that we need to take in order to reach that place? Because that sounds like a great place to be.
Well,
That sounds like a
absolutely.
great place to be so we can all participate in this journey of consciousness evolution that's underway.
Absolutely. And, you know, you really bring up some key points is that, again, most people try to fix other people's houses or, again, you know, put a fake paint on the outside of their own house and the inside is just trashed, right? This new reality or the consciousness journey that you're about to embark on, whether you like it or not, is you're going to go inwards and fix your own house, your own inner house, your own inner being. One of the best ways to do it is like spatial reference. If you don't want to do anything else, observe your reality. Again, observe objects in your realities. And we get into spatial referencing, you know, through the 18-day hyper meditations. Total Human Reset is really coming up. Where we totally reset you. That's really an advanced course for those who are really ready and really want to jump on that train and make the best of it. That's coming up. But spatial referencing, I think it's one of the most, say, advanced sciences out there where you start to understand how you render or how you create this reality. It actually will be very beneficial for those neuroscientists and all those individuals wondering, it's like, I wonder what consciousness is all about. You know, I wonder if like being aware of my reality. There's so many realities that are out there that you need to be conscious of, not just about the peripheral reality or, you know, what we think is conscious. Again, how you render yourself in space and time, how you create the realities that you are in, how you create other people's realities as you, say, connect with them. Those are all based on you. And you don't even know about that. So you're going to start to awaken to that. So the number one thing that you can do is spatial reference. And simply spatial referencing is, say, visual spatial referencing is like that object is over here. You know, a body part, my collarbone is over here. So compared to that object, my collarbone is here. And it sounds kind of crazy. But if you spatial reference just visually, that you've got five senses. But those individuals, say, who are depressed or anxious, who spatial reference, they're off their medications. That's how powerful it is, by the way.
Because it centers you. I've done it, and it works. We are so in our own heads a lot of the time, overthinking things, just kind of monkey brain thinking, you know.
Right.
And we can't get out of our own way.
Right.
And then you use spatial referencing, which is it's an easy thing to do once you know how to do it.
Absolutely.
But you start to do it and you realize, oh, wait a minute, it's regrounded me. It's recentered me. I know where I am in relation to other things. And it's really quite remarkable. And I'm sure that we'll put a link around this video
Yes.
to another video that you've done in depth on that, because it's such a powerful methodology. And I'm glad that you mentioned 18-day hyper meditation and total human reset, because those would be great places for people to start to really get centered on their own journey and really
Yes.
prepare themselves for what's ahead.
Yes, absolutely. Because again, you know, consciousness, the journey, it is a new journey. Consciousness, or the journey towards consciousness, has always been there. But most people would think, again, being nicer, being kinder, helping, so on. It's not about that. It's about awakening to the reality or the dimension that you are creating yourself in. So self-actualization, that's what this consciousness journey is really about, right? Self-actualization. Once you become self-actualized, though, the problems of society start to or tend to disappear. It's not a coincidence, by the way. You fix yourself, you fix society. Okay? And that's the way it's going to be happening, whether you like it or not. Again, it's a really great opportunity for us to come back into, say, the power that we are. And we have unbelievable, limitless power to create and render a whole different, say, possibility for ourselves and our future.
The journey is underway, right? The journey is underway.
Yes.
And you have a choice to be able to participate in it. And so we'll leave some links toward some resources around this video that will help you to take those first steps. So Mas, thank you so much for jumping on and sharing the consciousness evolution journey as you see it through the XI perspective.
Thank you.